Good morning. My name is Doyle Dobbins, and on behalf of the First Unitarian Church of Wilmington, Delaware, I welcome you to our online service today. We have an unusual and special welcome, which comes from Coventry Cathedral. I will read it for you. It sounds quite Unitarian and will serve as our welcome today. We extend a special welcome to those who are single, married, divorced, widowed, straight, gay, confused, well-heeled, or down at heel. We welcome you whether you can sing like Pavarotti or just growl quietly to yourself. You're welcome here if you're just browsing, just woken up, or just got out of prison. We don't care if you haven't been to church since Christmas 10 years ago. We extend a special welcome to those who are over 60, but yet not yet grown up, and to teenagers who are growing up too fast. We welcome Keep Fit moms, football dads, starving artists, tree huggers, latte sippers, vegetarians, and junk food eaters. We welcome you if you're having problems, are down in the dumps, or don't like organized religion. We're not that keen on it either. We offer welcome to those who think the earth is flat, work too hard, don't work, can't spell, or are here because Granny is visiting and wanted to come to the cathedral. We welcome those who are inked, pierced, both, or neither. We offer a special welcome to those who could use a prayer right now, or had religion shoved down their throats as kids, or got lost on the ring road and wound up here by mistake. We welcome pilgrims, tourists, seekers, doubters, and you. End of quote. With that, you are welcome to our service today. We are pleased to have a well-known friend and member, Richard Speck, as our worship leader and preacher today. Richard is an ordained minister in the Unitarian Universalist Association, served for many years as a district executive, and has served on many UUA committees. The title of his sermon, It's Deja Vu All Over Again. It's a timely title and sermon. We are happy to welcome back the duo of Sarah Everett Castor and Catherine Brake Celine, also known as Fish Castle. Cyril and Catherine stepped into the situation to help us out last year, serving as our in-house musicians back in the winter and spring of 2020, in the midst of the COVID outbreak and when we were between music directors. They even composed a song called This Is Our Moment to capture our feelings as we headed into the pandemic. Today, we have a chance to hear it again. We are happy to have them back with us today. And a quick reminder, to know what's happening at First Unitarian, remember to read the e-news each week. You are now invited to participate in this service. Let us listen to the prelude music.
in a meadow, rich with living, grasses, flowers, I lay down. Words came floating from the sky clouds. This is my world, my sacred ground. Sacred ground, sacred ground. This whole earth is sacred ground. Filled with spirits, ancient dreams, stones and stars and secret sound, rays of sun and moonlight beams. This is my world, my sacred ground. Sacred ground, sacred ground. This whole earth is sacred ground. Through the forest, dark and tall, like a family I have found. In the quiet, trees know all. This is my world, my sacred ground. Sacred ground, sacred ground. This whole earth is sacred ground. Sacred ground, sacred ground. This whole earth is sacred ground.
Our call to worship this morning is Our Story by Penny Hackett Evans. Each of us brings a separate truth here. We bring the truth of our own life, our own story. We don't come as empty vessels, but as full people, each with our own story and our own truth. We seek to add to our truths and add to our stories. This room is rich with truth, rich with experience. All manner of people are here, needy, joyful, frightened, anxious, bored. We all bring our truth with us. May we all recognize the truth and the story in other lives than our own. May we hear and honor the truths that we all bring as we gather together. Together, we have truths. Together, we have a story. Together, we are a community.
As we prepare to light the chalice here in the sanctuary, And if you have a chalice at home, you are invited to light it now. Let us focus on the chalice, or as we focus on the chalice, please listen to these words by Albert Schweitzer. At times our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going. We know within, and when we get there, heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. We are going. Heaven knows where we are going. But we know within. And when we get there, heaven knows how we will get there. But we know we will. Oh yeah, yeah. 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 Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Oh yeah, yeah,
Please join me in affirming our mission. First Unitarian Church of Wilmington is a beloved community that nourishes minds and spirits, fights injustice, and transforms the world through loving action.
Our story this morning is the journey of the birds, inspired by the ancient epic poem, The Conference of the Birds, by the Persian Sufi Muslim writer, Faraduin Attar. Once upon a time, all the birds in the land decided they needed a leader for their community. A leader, they thought, would make their community stronger. Representatives of all the bird species gathered to discuss finding a leader. A leader will tell us the right thing to do, said the robin. Our leader must be wise, said the owl. A leader must believe we each are important, big and small, said the sparrow. I want the leader to be caring, like a friend, said the dove. Yes, the leader helps us share and get along better, said the jay. The leader must make us feel safe, said the hawk. I know where you can find such a leader, said the hoopoe bird. It is the simorg, and it lives far from here. The birds were very excited. They said they were willing to go anywhere to find such a leader. It might be dangerous, said the hoopoe. A few birds looked troubled, but all the birds voted to go find the simorg. The hoopoe took off, and all the birds followed. They flew at night. They flew in sunshine. Days and days passed. Some birds got tired and left the group. Other birds were filled with doubt. How did they know the simorg really existed? Only the hoopoe had ever heard of this bird. Some of the doubters dropped out, but others kept on flying. One valley was filled with fiery mountains. All the birds were afraid. I'm too afraid to make it over that mountain, lamented the sparrow. No, keep flying. We can make it together. We will help you. And they did. The strong flyers helped the weaker flyers. The birds with good vision helped find food for the group. Along the journey, the birds learned how to better respect, share, and care for each other. It seemed that every bird had something special and unique to offer that made the journey easier. Finally, the hoopoe announced, "We're here." The other birds looked around in anticipation. "Where is the simorg? We don't see it," they cried. "Come, it is over here," said the hoopoe. The birds stood beside hoopoe and realized they were on the edge of a lake. They looked in and saw their own reflections. Then they understood. The simorg was not another bird. The simorg was all of them, and all of them were the simorg. They remembered that each of them had something good and strong and special inside of them, and that each bird had gifts to bring to the community. They were all that was needed to keep the community strong. They knew now that together they could do anything. Let us enter now into a moment of prayer and meditation. This is Prayer for the Stubborn by Vanessa Rush Southern. O name for that which holds us and will not let us go. O force of vision in our lives, source of dreams that hold us captive and give us reasons to wake. Help us to find the strength to persist. When despair comes knocking or the road seems too dry and dusty, when circumstances conspires against greatness or the honest telling of truths, help us to find the power and inspiration to endure. Or at the very least, help us find our way back to the simple rituals of love and justice that can resuscitate our dreams. In this life, may we love deeply, act in humble but determined ways, and never waver. May we persist until the sun sets and wake again to persist once more, until the world of our boldest aspirations is made real by passion and also by endurance, stubborn faithfulness and persistence, the trademarks and engine of a noble and visionary life. For the sake of all we cherish, O God, keep us stubborn. we come into this time holding in our awareness those who live in fear, suffering, illness, grief, and longing. There are those who we have on our minds this day. There may be others who are on our minds who could just use a call, a smile, or a touch. We say their names to acknowledge their struggle and with a hope that they too might experience something of this space, something of love, something of peace. Wherever you are, I invite you to say their names aloud or put them in the chat. May all whose names were spoken or written, and those unspoken, experience healing, love, and peace this day. Our reading this morning is The Courage to Persevere by the Reverend A. Powell Davies. How could we find courage, the deep moral courage that makes a human life noble, without frustration and defeat? It takes a lot more courage to face a broken scheme of things and mend it or reshape it than it takes to plan it out in the first place. And it is not the scheme that matters. Let us get that clear. It is the quality of human life that counts. That is what the business of living is all about. Our purposes may seem to be ends in themselves, but they are not. They are at best a framework. It is character, depth of experience, ripening of the Spirit's powers that we are really after. And what raises the level is by that level justified. There would be no depth, no profundity, no loftier wisdom, no tenderness, no noble courage, no greatness in human life if plans were never thwarted. This does not mean there is no contradiction. The mind grows by struggling with contradictions, with paradox. It does not mean there is no cause for grief. The heart is not a human heart until it feels the stab of pain. It does not mean there is no room for doubt. Faith grows by the doubt it challenges until it has met a challenge to mortal combat and fought and won it. It is not faith. As for seeing the thing you gave your life to broken and stooping to build it up with worn-out tools, it is doubtful whether anything important was ever built with any other kind of tools. Read the lives of the poets, the composers of symphonies, the prophets, the saints, and also look at the world's more ordinary people. Who are the shallow and the trivial? Who are the wise, the kind, the responsible? Yes, standing where calamity has struck, we are stunned with bewilderment. But what is the use of hope and faith, of patient labor and long endurance? And what is the use of this senseless, blind destruction? That is how it seems at first, but not at last, not if we stay with it long enough and carry it with us into our lives as we live them, for then we see something else. That where a plan was crushed or a hope was broken, something better than plans and stronger than hope began to grow. This does not always happen, for not all souls find the same courage. But it happens often enough to see a meaning disclosed by what at first was meaningless, a meaning very deep, deep enough to thrust the roots of a life down into. And the lives that have been most deeply rooted in that meaning have grown tallest against the sky. Before I begin my sermon, I want to thank Fish Castle for our music this morning and for Doyle Dobbins being the worship associate today. They have pre-recorded, as you will possibly notice. Well, I'm grateful to be back in this pulpit again. Since I retired from full-time ministry, opportunities to preach have been fewer. I have preached virtually in northern New Jersey, Maryland, and Texas in the past year, and I'll be preaching in October in Pennsylvania. It might or might not be in person. That will be 6 times that I have been in the pulpit this year. I've been familiar with our history here at First Unitarian for over 20 years when I came to Delaware to be the district executive of the Joseph Priestley District of the Unitarian Universalist Association. Janet and I joined here over 12 years ago. I assisted this church in its transition from Reverend Patrick O'Neill to a string of interim ministers. I helped with the startup of Reverend Josh Snyder, as well as the end of his ministry here. I was part of the extended search team that hired Reverend Roberta Finkelstein as the developmental minister. And here we are again with a transition in this church. I have seen numerous ministerial transitions over my 30-plus years of being a minister myself. Some have gone well as a person chooses a time to move to a new pastorate for a greater challenge or to be closer to family. Others have come about because a serious rift between the leadership and the minister or with the congregation made this person's ministry come to a sudden end. We were in neither of those situations when Reverend Pam Watt resigned this spring. The church was healthy and coping well with the demands of the pandemic. Her ministry had been strong, and she was well liked by most. But she chose the need to take care of her aging parents as the path for her right now. So we enter another time of transition with Reverend Larry Pierce, a colleague who is probably the best person for our ministry right now. It's deja vu all over again. Yogi Berra explained that this quote originated when he witnessed Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris repeatedly hitting back-to-back home runs in the Yankees seasons in the early 1960s. Now, I've never been much of a sports fan for most of my life. I get the names of teams confused, and I don't know which team plays in what sport half the time. Unlike many people, especially men, I could care less who wins and loses. A running joke in our house is to ask, who won the World Series at any point in the year? It points up to my apathy of sports. But I do know of colorful sports figures of the past. Yogi Berra was well known for his impromptu, pithy comments, malapropisms, and seemingly unintentional witticisms known as Yogi-isms. His Yogi-isms very often took the form of either an apparent tautology or a contradiction, but often with an underlying and powerful message that offered not just humor, but also wisdom. Alan Barra has described them as distilled bits of wisdom, which, like good country songs and old John Wayne movies, get to the truth in a hurry. While some of what is attributed to Yogi was first said by someone earlier, his personality went with these attributions. Yes, we are deja vu all over again as a congregation. We are in a transitional state for the next 2 years as we mourn the loss of Reverend Pam, enjoy the presence of Reverend Larry, and think deeply about what we need for our future as a community of faith. This is a time for some reflection and discussion of what we will need going forward into the future. We went through a similar process after every ministerial transition in the congregation over the past 30 years. We went through it after Reverend Bob Doss retired after 31 years as senior minister. I counted up, there have been over 18 senior ministers who have served First Unitarian Church in the 155 years of existence, as well as at least 15 associate or interim ministers. We have been a large congregation as well as a small one in our history. We are now a mid-sized congregation and appear to be stable at about 350 members. So what do we do now? Yogi Berra said, you've got to be very careful if you don't know where you are going, because you might not get there. As I write this sermon, the Delta variant of COVID-19 is surging all over the country, especially among those who are unvaccinated. It is affecting younger people between 20 and 50 and putting them in the hospital. From what we know so far, People who are fully vaccinated against the coronavirus appear to have some protection against Delta, but anyone who is unvaccinated and not practicing preventive strategies is at risk for infection by the new variant. We have been preparing to return to live services in September, along with broadcasting the services on YouTube like we are now. When we started the planning, the Delta variant wasn't around. Does this new complication make us reconsider what we do in a few short weeks? Will we screen people or require masks throughout the service? Will we even have in-person services? The service today has recorded music and a recorded worship associate. I am live and mostly alone in this sanctuary full of empty chairs. Should this be our continued future for the near term, as it has for the past 16 months? Another yogi-ism is, when you come to a fork in the road, take it. We are at a fork in the road as we embark on a new ministry with Reverend Larry. As a congregation, I believe that we take the road that leads to a deeper commitment to First Unitarian and the intentional renewal of community among us. We have been mostly apart in our silos for over a year. How do we rebuild the community amid an ongoing pandemic? Many of us had never heard of Zoom 2 years ago, yet now it is a commonplace method of staying connected. Janet and I have been scheduling Zoom meetings with family and friends so that we can stay in touch with one another. Janet has a book group that has met virtually for over a year. I started a virtual choir meeting on our regular rehearsal night that has led us to staying together as a choir and learning music that has been a part of the worship services. People who were in Virginia, Washington, D.C., and as far away as Portland, Oregon, participated in that community building and music making. We have held Zoom meetings once a month as a congregation following a worship service at the first of the month. I know of congregations that have a Zoom coffee hour after every service as a way to stay connected to one another. My hope is that we can add more of these as we evolve into a multi-platform type of worship. Once we have people back in the parish hall, whenever that will be, I would like to see a kiosk with a computer using Zoom to allow remote people to talk with those who are present in the building. We have a large group of older members who might prefer to stay at home but would want to be part of the community. This is one way we could provide that. Another yogi-ism. It's pretty far, but it doesn't seem like it. Yogi possibly made this statement to indicate that while effort was needed, the end point wasn't so far away. As we begin a new era in our congregation, it might seem like it is a long way to finding and settling a new minister. Yet, it is my experience that a search period flies by in the life of a congregation. Most likely, sometime in the spring of 2023, a search committee will be presenting a candidate for senior minister for us to consider. That's not that far away. What will we do as a congregation to be ready for this event? How will we change in what we do, how we act, what we support? In the spring of next year, we will vote to impanel a search team to begin the process of understanding who we are and what we want for ministry in the future. Will we be ready? Will we be welcoming to those who are single, married, divorced, widowed, straight, gay, confused, well-heeled, or down at the heel? Will we be open to keep fit moms, football dads, starving artists, tree huggers, latte sippers, vegetarians, junk food eaters, or if they are having problems, are down in the dump, or don't like organized religion? Will we bring the truth of our own life, our own story, and help rebuild the community of First Unitarian? Will we hear and honor the truths that we all bring as we gather together once again? Our opening hymn is one of my favorites and truly states where we are as a congregation. Yogi is reported to have said, "If you don't know where you are going, you might wind up someplace else." Woyaya comes from the Ghanaian Ga language and translates as, "We are going." When I sing it, I feel hopeful that the future is brighter even if we don't know what it will be. We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Wo-ya-ya, 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 wo-ya-ya. We know within where we are going, and we know we will get there. It will be hard, but we will find our way forward. Yogi said, baseball is 90% mental, the other half is physical. Just like baseball, our work as a congregation is 90% mental, and the other half is physical. Working together, building community, learning from Reverend Larry's wisdom will all contribute to strengthening us as a congregation. Just like the story of the journey of the birds, we need to realize that there is no simorg as another bird. The simorg was all of them, and all of them were the simorg. They remembered that each of them had something good and strong and special inside of them, and that each bird had gifts to bring to the community. They were all that was needed to keep the community strong. Now they knew that together they could do anything. We have all that we need to do anything we can imagine. Each of us can bring our gifts forward to assist the congregation moving forward into an unknown future. So what are your good and strong and special gifts that you have? How can you use them to make First Unitarian even better than we are? What will you do to keep First Unitarian community thriving? We cannot stay stagnant. The world is changing, and we must change with it. As former President Barack Obama said, change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. May we be the change agents that we have been waiting on to enlarge our community and make it healthier and more vibrant. May we welcome those who seek out what we have to give and join their efforts with ours to build the world that we dream about. Come and go with me to that land where we are bound, where we will have freedom, peace, and justice for all. Together, we will succeed beyond our wildest imaginations. May it be so. Amen.
One, two, three, four. 1, 2. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, getting stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. To start with love that is a seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, the world would die. Peace and freedom is our cry. Is our cry.
As we think about stewardship today, I would like to share with you two relevant quotes. The first is from an anonymous source, quote, "Stewardship, it's not just about giving money. It's about giving everything. We have become, by the power of a glorious evolutionary accident called intelligence, the stewards of life's continuity on earth. We did not ask for this role, but we cannot abjure it. We may not be suited to it, but here we are." The message from this quote is that we are stewards and must practice stewardship whether or not we want to do so. The second quote is from Steve Goodyear. "Money is not the only commodity that is fun to give. We can give time. We can give our expertise. We can give our love, or simply give a smile. What does that cost? The point is, none of us can ever run out of something worthwhile to give. End of quote. The message from this quote is that we always have much more to give than we might think that we do. With these quotes and thoughts in mind, let us focus on the programs and work of our First U community. Stewardship is certainly more than money, but it certainly includes money. And most of our programs depend on money or financial support to thrive and achieve their goals and objectives. How many programs do we have? It depends on how we count. The church website lists over 50. You may have a preference: solar panels, music, religious education, Ilya, Emmanuel Dining Room, building and grounds, etc. My preference is guests at your table and the worldwide work of the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. But whatever your preference, we all need to give generously to the support of our programs. Please do so today by choosing one of the 3 ways to give, which you see on the screen. Please choose the method most suitable to you. Please join me in dedicating our stewardship and offerings to the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action. We dedicate our lives, and these are offerings.
Though we cannot join hands, we will join our hearts. I for you and you for me, and
Our closing words come from the writings of Reverend Jean Rowe, We Have a Calling. We have a calling in this world. We are called to honor diversity, to respect differences with dignity, and to challenge those who would forbid it. We are people of a wide path. Let us be wide in affection and go our way in peace.
As I extinguish the chalice, I would like to use the well-known benediction from Robert Mabry Doss, one of our past ministers. For those who seek God, may God go with you. For all who embrace life, may life return your affection. For all who seek a right path, may a way be found, and the courage to take it step by step. So be it, and have a good week.
Oh, I can't always take the shots you give. Every pitch can't be a hit, yet somehow we have to live. So I'll just keep on swinging till a great one comes my way. And I'll wake up every morning singing till I know this one is my day. That day will come. That day will come. That day will come. In my perfect world, you'll be there too. That day will come. That's my perfect wish for me and you. Yeah, that's my perfect wish for me and you. If it wasn't for the burning sun, it wouldn't be much fun to swim. And when you freeze your bones in a winter wind, it's so good to come back in. Sometimes we break from all that's good. Sometimes we scream and shout. But now I know a day with you is so much better than one without. That day will come. That day will come. That day will come. In my perfect world, you'll